Therefore, it follows from the two things we've just agreed upon that there's no context in which God would permit the ownership of other human beings as private property, right?
Indeed, it follows from the truth we have affirmed that God, being perfectly good and just, cannot and would not command or permit something intrinsically immoral.
Now, what do we call a condition where a man or woman lives under the despotic rule of another, which they cannot leave, they cannot choose what they do or do not do, and for some of them, this lasts their entire life long? It sounds like slavery, but we call places like that prisons. Now, slaves, according to the biblical paradigm, as we see in the letter to the Ephesians, were persons under the subjection of another who had to be obedient to that other. Now, a person could volunteer for that life, as we see in Genesis chapter 37, or a person could be sentenced to it to pay off their debts, or as a punishment. I'm sure there are other reasons if we went page by page in the Old Testament. Now, why does this matter? Because Alex is trying to prove either that God exists or that Scripture is contradictory, because he finds in the Old Testament that slavery is condoned or permitted in certain circumstances. But again, being under the lifelong control of another is the state of certain inmates in prison right now, and I'm pretty sure no one listening to this is losing sleep because such persons exist. Now, it is good to argue what does or does not constitute a just reason for the withdrawals of a certain person's freedoms, but to claim that there is no reason possible that a good and loving God would permit or allow the withdrawal of a man's freedoms for the sake of the common good, as our state does today, simply doesn't follow.